kick it down, and the kick is good! It's good!
Morning, Dragon Nation. Welcome to the Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Jeff Gorby. Today I'm joined with head football coach Melvin Cunningham. Coach, before we get started on talking Coal Grove Hornets football and this week's game plan, let's talk a little bit about, let's recap from the week. Big shout out to our golf team. Golf team was in the district championship up at Crown Hill Golf Club there in Circleville this past Wednesday. Extremely fast greens, extremely hard greens. Kids played well. They kind of left it out there. We come up just a little bit short. We got third overall. We needed to be in the top two to get to the state tournament. A couple individuals played well. Maybe not played their normal game, but they did play well. Big shout out to those guys. Seniors, Jacob Seagraves, Landon Roberts kind of led the team all year long. You can't say enough about what those four kids did. Coach, what's it like having a couple senior leaders who've been in those situations, whether it's golf, it's volleyball, it's soccer. When you got a senior leader who's been in a pressure situation for 4 years, how nice is it to have those guys to maybe help calm some things down and talk to the younger kids throughout matches, games as they go?
It's definitely great to have those guys in your locker room because they're an extension of the coach because they've been around you for the last several years. So when you get to that moment in that situation, it's great to have those guys that the younger guys can lean on, or even if it's just to sit and just watch and how they go about their daily business, because sooner or later it's going to be you in those shoes.
Yeah, I agree. And also Ben Southern, Jeremiah Pfizer, E.B. Hall, those are guys who are returning next year to the golf team. It's going to be a core nucleus that's coming back that's really good. Kyan Page got some time here and there with the golf team members. So looking for exciting things next year. I don't think it's going to fall off much. I think Coach Ward and his program are going to continue the dominance that they've had over the last few years. As we move throughout the week, here today at about 3:30, 4 o'clock, big announcements. Soccer teams and volleyball teams both will get a look at their tournament draw and how that bracket unfolds for them. Volleyball team, I believe, is coming in. They got 2 games left this week. I believe they're 18-2 at this point in time. They got 2 games left this week. Gallia, a huge game here on Tuesday night, a conference championship game. Gallia is undefeated in the league. Fairland's got 1 loss in the league. So, again, great atmosphere. It's going to be here Tuesday night. It's going to be rocking. We expect a lot of students from both schools, a lot of fans. Coach, it's going to be more of a boys basketball environment is what I think with the crowd. And I know you and I have talked about some things with the kids. I'm going to go ahead and say it. If you're a Fairland student and you're wearing green, I'm going to let you into the game for free. We need a huge crowd, a lot of support. So if you're a Fairland student in grades K through 12, you show up in green, you'll get in free to the volleyball game on Tuesday night here against Gallipolis. Again, conference championship game, always good matchup between the two schools. Thursday night, volleyball team, senior night against the team down the river. Always a rival game also. It'll be a good game. Again, that senior night, those activities will take place between the JV and the varsity game. It'll be right at the end of the JV game. We'll have those senior night activities. That way we can get through the activities and then get on with our warm-ups and get the game going. So Tuesday night, any Fairland student, grades K through 12 or in green, will get in free to the volleyball game. And then also Thursday night will be senior night for the girls volleyball team. Soccer teams played tough games yesterday at North Adams, kind of getting them ready for what the tournament atmosphere is going to be like, going down there and playing. Boys have 2 big games this week. Gallipolis at Gallipolis on Tuesday night. And then they'll finish up at Chesapeake on Thursday before their turnaround. Again, we're going to see about 3:30, 4 o'clock, we're going to see that bracket released. Next week, we'll talk with, we'll get those brackets here. We'll be able to get them up so you guys can see, and we'll talk about how those are going to shake out. Girls, this week's got 3 games. They got they got Gallipolis, Piketon, and Chesapeake. All 3 good games. We're excited for some things for them and see how they can finish out the season. OVC championship for cross country on Saturday. 4:30, I believe it is, at Ironton. They're going to start with the middle school, or 4 o'clock, I'm sorry. They're going to start with the middle school races and then move on into the high school races and crown some conference champions. Coach, I know that you and Coach Wentz have a lot of conversations throughout the week, and I know that he's had your ear a little bit about this conference championship coming up. I talked a little bit on yesterday with Coach Buchanan, and then talked a little bit with him on Thursday night at a basketball outing about it. He said both teams have a legit shot to go out and compete. What's Coach Wentz told you about cross country and things coming up this week?
You know, he's definitely excited. I mean, but why wouldn't you be? Anytime you have a runner like Molly, I mean, it's you know, she's going to obviously be a factor and be present in the moment. And you know, I think a big concern is just Reese Barnett's and you know what's going on with her, and hopefully she's capable of running. I mean, she put in so much time to get ready for this year, and being her senior year, you would love to see her have that opportunity to go out. But you know, he's excited, and you know, I'm sure that he'll have a strategy for the young ladies to attack this moment with. So I'm definitely excited for Coach Wentz and rooting for the team.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of Reese, you know, this past week she kind of come in and told us that she had committed to Wright State to continue her cross-country career. You know, to have the ability to continue your career anywhere is excellent. We're excited for Reese and her opportunity to go to Wright State and continue running. You'd mentioned Molly. Molly's been a little bit on the hurt side. She's getting back healthy, so we're looking forward to a great race there. Kind of shifting over to the boys a little bit, we know that Owen Baker and Brodie Buchanan, they both have a legit shot to go out and maybe win the league, or at least finish in that top 3 or 4 guys, and moving on into the district run the following week. So good luck to you guys. I'll be down there on Saturday afternoon rooting you guys on. I'm excited to quite possibly celebrate a couple conference championships down there, even with the middle school. So we're excited about that. Another big week for us coming up here at Fairland and cross country and all of our sports, with some senior night activities coming up. So good luck to all those teams this week. And again, about 3:30, 4 o'clock, we'll be posting our brackets for volleyball, girls soccer, and boys soccer. See how that goes. See how those brackets are going to turn out. And we'll talk a little bit about those next week. Let's turn our attention over to football. Coach, this past Friday night, we go down to Portsmouth. We're going to leave it at about that. We went down to Portsmouth. You know, there was some bright spots, but also we got some kids dinged up a little bit. We got some kids injured early that kind of affected the whole game plan. I know at halftime I was outside your locker room there, and it was more of not necessarily what are we going to do, who do we still have left to play. So kind of talk us a little bit about maybe some positives we've seen, some things that we may see coming up from Friday night's ballgame.
I mean, first of all, you got to tip your hat to Coach Cobb and Portsmouth. They play extremely well, and you know the old saying, we got taken behind the woodshed, so to say. So, so we're not going to use excuses. I mean, we had individuals go down. I mean, you've seen us. Obviously, our quarterback went down. Cam Kitts, Jack Hayden, 2 receivers go down. We already have linemen out. Our backup quarterback, we have one that's out for the year, the other one that's possibly out for the year. So, you know, but, you know, our job as a coaching staff is to do a better job. And it starts with me. I didn't do a better job of in the second half. We're down 13-0, had the ball at the 1, didn't score. Could have very well been 13-7 going into half, despite all the things that took place. So, you know, coming out of halftime, I have to do a better job as a head coach. And, you know, we have a week to look at the situation that we're in now and try to develop a game plan to go play Cold Grove. So, you know, but the positive aspect of the things is I mean, we still have players make plays. Still, we've had some big moments in the game, and you know, so that so we did see some of those things. Defensively, Will Calicote. I mean, every week he's playing with just such energy and passion, and you know, just standing on the sideline, understanding that the game was definitely in Portsmouth's control. Watching the kids that is still playing extremely hard, and he's one of the individuals that stood out. I mean, just watching Will be Will, Ryan Dixon be Ryan Dixon, and Bryson Hunt be Bryson Hunt, and so it's and then to watch arguably your best player, Bryson Hunt. You have to call on him to come play quarterback. So now you're down 2 other receivers. Now you're down 3 receivers, and Bryson steps in to take snaps. And to my knowledge, the first time in probably his career. I know it's first time in high school. So and unselfishly, he comes there and does the best he possibly can. When you just tap your arm and call to the bullpen. So there were positive, but we have a huge task at hand this week. I mean, Hall and Colgrove.
Yeah, I agree. Coach, you'd mentioned several players there. Steeler had some really bright spots. He had a big screen pass he caught. He had another little short pass he caught with some big yardage. You talked about Bryson Hunt. I was impressed with Bryson Hunt. Never missed a beat. Once you had to move into quarterback, it was just, hey, let's take off the receiver gloves and let's get to work. So, big shout out to those guys. You mentioned Will Calico on the defensive side. It seemed like he was always around the ball. Ryan Dixon always around the ball. One of the guys that all year long I've kind of watched. He was hurt last year as an offensive defensive lineman. He got hurt early in the Ironton game last year. To watch his progress come back, and then to watch him develop throughout the year, the excitement that Cooper Charles plays with for you. I've seen him play, it seems like every offensive position, maybe at center, every defensive line position, maybe seen him line up at linebacker a little bit. A young kid that's just excited to be out there. He seems very coachable. Let's talk a little bit about his progress throughout the year and him growing up a little bit for you.
Very coachable. I mean, very intelligent young man. Works extremely hard during season, out of season. He wants to be great. Mm-hmm. And so you want all those guys in the locker room. And, I'll take 50 Coopers. So I think that, this season he came in and early on, man, he was playing extremely well. He was just getting to play one side of the football. He was playing defensive end for us. And, being at the size school we are, you lose several starting offensive linemen. You have to call on other individuals. Well, when you look down your roster, he's the next best in the room. And arguably very well could have been one of the better ones to start the season, but being 15 years of age, getting ready to turn 16, and we're counting on them to play 120 plays if you're playing both sides of the ball. We just couldn't do that to those guys. So we tried to look at our roster and try to be as 2 platoon as we possibly can to provide depth and provide rest for our team. But once everyone started going down, we had to call on him to play both sides, and he stepped in and he understands it's still a growing process. So, but he plays with such passion, such intelligence, and he gives everything that he has on every snap. I mean, definitely proud of how far he's came, but I don't think we've seen the best of what Cooper is going to bring to Fairland football.
I agree. Just high motor kid. Love watching him on the field. Coach, you'd mentioned, quarterback room got extremely small Friday night. Possibility of moving on with some guys, without some guys this week. Not only Peyton going down, that's a leader off the field. That's your quarterback off the field. It's one of your athletes coming off the field. Makes a lot. Special teams. I know this is going to make a huge impact on that extra point field goal team. Peyton's been doing the snapping for those for 3 years now. I know Keegan does the punt snapping. How does that affects timing? That affects a lot of stuff and a very important aspect of the game. How, as we move forward here, let's look at beyond quarterback. Let's look beyond that. How does that affect your team losing your long snapper and those sort of things?
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, timing's everything when you're kicking field goals. Keegan gets work every week. And doing it, it's still different. Yeah. From the snap to the hold to Gabe kicking the ball. I mean, you can even tell it in practice. It's different. So we have to definitely put more time into it this week. And every point matters when you're playing a team that's equally balanced. Sure. And so it's going to be one of those moments Friday night. So I believe in Keegan, though. I mean, Keegan's really had a really good season for us this year, and he's going to be called on to do a lot of different things this week. So, so this young man has to grow up and grow up in a hurry. So, I think that we talk about all the time the greatest teacher in life is experience, and sometimes it's brutal. So, this past Friday, it was brutal. I mean, we seen it in every aspect: special teams, offensively, defensively. We got whipped at every phase. So, but it gives, we'll start today, getting ready, get on the field tomorrow with the guys, and we'll kind of simplify the game plan and have it and go in and it's a game that we still can win regardless of who's in uniform. We always believe that. I mean, we understand who we are and what we are, and we're just going to have to change how we go about it. And it starts right there with some of these guys getting different type reps, more reps, and so we just got to go to work, Coach.
Yeah, I agree. There's a big difference than taking 2 or 3 kids off the field at halftime and trying to make that adjustment to go, all right, we got 20 minutes. And this is what we're going to do, and then having a week to prep and put kids in for a lot of snaps and get some looks. Let's kind of change gears. Colgrove's Colgrove. Colgrove's always what they've always been, whether it's been Jay Lucas or his father Dave Lucas coaching. We're going to see a lot of 6, 7 home runs by big, powerful running backs. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can go back to the Highland kid. You can go back to Dusty Smith. You can go back to guys that I can't remember names, but I just remember they run the 6-hole, they run the 7-hole, and turn and hand it off. Coach, I don't think the game plan is going to change any. I still think the Hall kid is the leading rusher in the area, probably one of the leading rushers in the state. Now again, his volume of carries is probably a lot higher than what 90% of the schools are going to do. He's probably carried the ball more than 90% of the schools have carried amongst their whole team. So, let's talk a little bit about it. I know you've had an opportunity to watch some film yesterday on Colgrove and what they do. Let's talk about, I think I've pretty well summed the game plan up, turn around, hand the ball off the Hall. But, what have you seen?
Turn around and hand the ball off the Hall. I mean, listen, the kid's going to get the ball 40, 45 times. I mean, and he's deserving of every carry he gets, and his body frame allows him to take 45 carries. Right. People don't understand, just giving a kid the ball 45 times, I mean, are you capable of taking 45 carries, 10, 11, 12 games a season? Mm-hmm. And, we have players on our team that are great football players that's not capable of taking the ball 45 times.
Right.
This kid is. Mm-hmm. And, you can see that we're going into game 9. Game 8, he's still taking carries. He's down there playing Ironton, and he rushed for, I think, 165 yards. Mm-hmm. I mean, and, so this is, he's going into game 9. He seems like he's getting better every touch. So we realize we have our hands full. You got to put a lot of people in the box to try to take away his impact on the game. And, you have to understand that as a defensive unit, you got to find a way to string together 4 perfect plays. And because you're not going to have the ball a lot, so your offense has to execute. You have to produce points every time you have the ball when you're playing this group, because you're not going to get the ball. I mean, they're going to run the clock out, and they're just going to continue to do what they do. But as a defense, you got to find a way to 4 perfect plays 2 times, and that's always been our mantra: is if we can steal 2 possessions from them, we feel that we can win because we feel that we can score. Coming in this game, for us, it's a little bit different because we're going to be a little bit different. So we're going to have to see, who's available. And, I mean, like you said, our quarterback went down last week. Our 2 backup quarterbacks are out. Right. So, we're waiting word from people that has to make bigger decisions than especially Monday decisions that I have to make. Right. So, but it all going to boil down to is how can we control that guy? Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree. It goes back. It's almost like you're facing Rock Hill all over again, but instead of preparing for a 3-headed monster that they have at running back, you're just preparing for one kid. I believe it was Emmitt Smith that said this years ago. I was watching an interview, and he said playing running back in the NFL or in college is like every carry is like being in a major car wreck. So you know, when you're talking about carrying the ball 40 times, the amount of beating that your body takes, says a lot about what Jay Lucas does in the weight room, and what he does with his team down there to get those guys physically ready for those type of games. Defensively, probably, you know, Colgate's going to peel their ears back and send 8, 9 guys every time, try to zero, you know, play a little zero coverage on you, try to man up. How do you, as a football coach, I know back in my day when I dabbled a little bit in coaching football, you got 5 linemen, but you're trying to block 8 guys every time with them.
Yeah.
You know, what's that game plan kind of look like up front for you guys? Maybe, you know, I'm not asking for X's and O's and draw them up. I'm just, you know, how do you handle them defensively? Because I know they're peeling their ears back and coming after you.
Well, I think with that, you definitely have to change the pace at which you play.
Mm-hmm.
You know how quickly you get your plays off, different snap counts. You know, so changing your cadence, changing the pace of the play, things of that nature. And obviously, you know, some of that comes down to some play calling and some different things. But we understand they're aggressive. They're just an aggressive team on both sides of the football and how they attack. They want to make it a physical, heavyweight fight. And they, you know, as good as Hall is on the offensive side of the ball, their offensive line's equally as good. Then you flip those guys over on the defensive side, and they just get after you. I mean, they get after you. They want to make it a 48-minute fight. And so you definitely have to have little things inside your game plan to try to slow those guys down.
I agree. You know, Coach, we're getting towards the end of the season now. You know, we got 2 final games here at home. And then we start looking at the playoffs where we're setting 9th yesterday morning when I looked at it. The top 8 host, the bottom 8, you know, 16 get in, the bottom 8 are going somewhere else. A couple wins here. You know, we're in our control our own destiny. You know, they finally put that column in there. You get a couple wins, you know, we're in. We're probably hosting. You win one of the 2, we're pretty sure we're in. You know, as we look at that, I know we want to win 2. That's our goal. That's our ultimate goal because we want to host. We've have that ability in the state of Ohio in that first round. Those first 2 rounds, a higher seed host. What they've always said at Ohio High School, as long as you have a porta potty and a chair, you can host that football game. It doesn't matter. They'll work with you to. If you don't have lights, they'll work with you to put it on Saturday afternoon or whatever. So they're allowing schools to host. It doesn't matter what your facilities look like or what your field looks like. And we've been able to use that. Let's talk a little bit about that, maybe slowing things down. The weather looks good this Friday and next Friday. You know, our fields took some beating here the last couple of weeks. We still have, I was out there on it yesterday watching middle school soccer. We still have, you know, 65% grass out there, which is probably more than we've had at this point in time the last few years. How big of an advantage is that? You know, I know our community a lot of times is like, oh, let's get turf. But how much of an advantage is it right now, us still playing on grass, teams coming in here? How much of an advantage is it for us?
You know, we're one of the few teams that still has grass. I mean, I think Gallia obviously has it. Sims Valley, I think, still has it. But around here, we're one of the few. So I think that it's definitely a mental advantage because you hear a lot of teams coming here griping and complaining and doing some of those things. And I like that because you become the personality and attitude of your kids. So I think sometimes we as coaches have to understand that, you know, both teams are playing in the same elements. Yep. So I've never worried about those things. I mean, let's, you know, get off the bus, put the ball down, let's play. I mean, you know, so we have a saying around here, it's 70 and sunny. So it's 70 and sunny in our world every day, and, you know, we're just trying to get 1% better. And I think that it has been an advantage because of when the teams come in, mentally they're already making excuses of what's going on. I mean, and it is a difficult playing surface, but it's not like we go out there and practice in it. I mean, we never practice on our game field. So, you know, so for us, I mean, I guess we do have some familiarity with it, but, you know, we're not practicing on it as well. So, but our kids love it. They, you know, they take pride in it when it's muddy and nasty, and we've really been blessed to play well when the factors are like that.
You know, and it's funny, you said that your kids love it. I was talking to a couple of other administrators that have some younger kids that happened to be playing on our field last Saturday when Hurricane Ian or Ian, whatever it was, that came through. And he said, and they told me, they said, look, our kids had more fun this past Saturday playing up there because they got to experience what their dads played. Yeah, they got to experience what their dads played in, what their grandparents played in, and they loved it. Again, we'll be working on the field Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, getting it ready. We've got a big junior high game here on Thursday against Chesapeake, and then, of course, our game here on Friday night. So around 6 o'clock, if you guys aren't doing anything, come down and help Coach Jackson, his wife, and the coaching staff as they come out and get ready for the field. We'll all be down here doing something, painting something, working on the field at some point. We encourage you as a community, if you want to come out and be involved in that. Again, sometime around 3:30, 4 o'clock today, we'll start releasing brackets for volleyball. It's going to be playing in the Division II. It's going to be a new look for them. They've been D3 for years, but we've moved up to D2 in volleyball this year. So going to be some new opponents and some different things to talk about with that bracket. Girls soccer is also D2. That'll be released sometime around 3:30. The Southeast District Athletic Board will release those. And then boys soccer is going to stay D3. So we're going to get to see some looks at those brackets and see how their future is going. Join us back here next Sunday morning, 9 a.m. We're going to wrap up a little bit of the Coalgrove game, and then we're going to start talking about Spirit Week and playing the team down the river and see how that's going to look for us. Again, volleyball game Tuesday night against Gallipolis. Anybody in grades K through 12 wearing green that is a Fairland student gets in free. Coach, I appreciate you coming on today. I know you got a lot of work to get to do, a lot of film work today, so I'm going to let you get back to that. Dragon Nation, we appreciate it. That's all we have for today. We'll see you next Sunday, 9 a.m. Thank you.